You said that God was a big part, of your life. Can you speak to that a little bit more? Who is God, and what role did he play in your life?
So I did talk about that one important evening where I, for whatever reason, gained my conscious that moment. So obviously for me that I grew up with a life where I would probably argue myself as a functional atheist. I went to church a handful of times. I can't quite really remember actually going to church as a family in any sort of sense. So there wasn't like some super strong tie or anything like that to it. Like pretty much anyone else growing up in America in the 90s, you had some sort of impact or intersection with church at some point in your life. That was just a very normal thing, I would probably say. And so when that happened, it was a fairly big surprise for me. I wasn't necessarily going that direction or deciding to do any of those things. And so for me, it's obviously the turning point of my entire life. I cannot speak to who I would be now without that. I can just tell you that I wouldn't have had the drive. I probably would not have completed college. I would not have found my wife or had my kids. I wouldn't know how to value people. I don't think without that whole thing, my value for people would have been very, very small because I would have continued to just objectifying in the way I was. And then probably the biggest thing is there's this one verse, I don't even know where it's at. It effectively says that we love because he first loved us. And so for me, it's like, I don't think I would have ever lived a life that was happy without this. And I just didn't even know that that was an option for me. And I never really, it was a very tough set of years for me. And I was very, very sad and just always kind of just constantly looking for something to fulfill me. And so it's like, I didn't have any confidence. I didn't have any joy. I felt very sad. And so that was kind of this moment where for the first time ever, all of a sudden I just felt like I didn't have to live up to a standard. Right, like the standards have already been paid for. Like everything's already like that. That's the free gift. That's the exchange. And so it's just like for the first time, I didn't have to be the cool guy. I didn't have to have all the right words. I didn't have to feel, I didn't have to go on the sexual conquest to find validation. Like I didn't have to do any of those things, and it was exceptionally liberating. And so, who is God? That's more of like a catechism question, perhaps. What is man? Who is God? Right? Like those are much harder questions. I believe that anytime you try to get too deep into describing who God is, you typically fall into Christian heresy.
Mm-hmm. But for you, he gave you a chance to be happy.
Yeah, he gave me a chance not just to be happy, but also made it so that for like the first time, I can actually feel forgiven, I guess, in some sense. And able to forgive people that hurt me. Like for a long time, I had this like weight I'd carry around from like the things I hated about high school and all that kind of stuff. And through that experience, I just wrote down every last person's name and actually held them with me for quite some time. And this was the list of people I forgave. And I read it a few times because like I couldn't let myself be angry or consumed by that kind of stuff because like hate is so sticky. Right, it sticks for a lifetime, and there really is only one cure for hate, which is forgiveness. Like I just don't think you can get rid of it without that, and so I just had to choose to forgive these people and to move on, and it really kind of freed me. And I would never have thought forgiveness as a means for that change if I didn't first experience it myself.
What's the role of love in the human condition? To go to the philosophical, and what's been the role of love in your life?
It's very obvious that every person wants or desires love. My wife has recently convinced me to watch Love is Blind with her one time. And you watch the show, and if you're not familiar with it, it's just feels like just a disaster of an experiment to just cause crazy filming. But anyways, the idea is that if you just don't see somebody, you can fall in love with somebody and want to marry them after like 10 days or some very small period of time. And what you really end up seeing is all these people who are just desperate for actually love. And there's like some part of it, I told my wife, it's like love gladiators. We're watching people battle it out for drama, and really what they want is love. And it's like they're fighting to the death and love, if you will. And it's this almost kind of sad aspect to watch. And so I think that it's hard to call like, what is its role in the human experience? Because I don't think I think it's just something that we all naturally not just want, but need. And I don't think that you can really progress. And when I say the word love, I would like to kind of narrow it down maybe a bit more. And I don't mean like eros, the Greek word, like sexy love. I think that paternal and friendship love are extremely important. And I think agape, like God love, is also very important. Agape love is the one that is superior to them all, but obviously different. And also, co-needed with the parental ones and all that. And so you kind of need this mixture of them all. And each one is different for each reason and where it's applied. And so I just don't see a world in which is good of any kind without that as like a very foundational piece, right? Because, again, not, I didn't come here trying to quote any sort of scripture, but it says that it's not the nails that hung them there, it's love. That's the reason why these things happen. And so if forgiveness is the requirement to kind of pay off hate in some sense, then love has to be the motivation for forgiveness.
Yeah, that's the tragic aspect of life. I think there's like a deep loneliness in all of us, and a longing to be a part of this bigger thing. And that longing is a love, and it has many names. But yeah, that the love aspect of it is the beautiful aspect of life. The tragedy is the loneliness and the unfortunate suffering. That is a fundamental part of life, and the beautiful aspect is the love.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good time to mention more Reddit, the place for everlasting positivity and love. Somebody wrote, please thank you, for his everlasting positivity, and give him a big hug from me. So I won't give you a big hug on camera because I'm afraid I'll get a boner, and that will be very unfortunate.
Hey, let's not bring dicks into this again, okay?
It's my favorite data structure. Like I said, I love dicks. All kinds of dicks. Ordered dicks.
Unordered
dicks. I don't discriminate. And yeah. But just that to say, like, big thank you. For me, like, I listen to you a lot, and I just really enjoy. I've been going through a lot of shit myself, and just the positivity, even when you're building the stupidest shit, it's just the positivity radiates from you, and you inspire me to be a good person. You inspire me to build stuff. So thank you. And I'm sure there's many, many others who listen to you for the same reason. So thank you for your positivity. Thank you for being the light in many people's lives. And thank you for talking today, brother.
Dang, that was very, very kind. I really do appreciate all those extremely nice words, even from Reddit. That's very surprising, but
yeah,
thank you. I know that there's many people's lives, and I'm sure you've received the letters that have been changed from actions and things you've said and things you've done. And so it's one of the best parts about doing this side is that you get a chance to potentially improve somebody's life. And you getting to interview a lot of people. Like, there's a lot of people that listened to Chris Latner and saw his excitement for Swift and probably went and learned Swift and then got really amazing jobs, and it can be all origined back to you in that interview. And so it's, those are amazing things. And so same goes back to you. You've done a lot of good stuff.
Right back at you, brother. Thank you for talking today.